Hello everyone and welcome to the second devlog for my game Arcade Wizard 2. If you haven't checked out the first devlog, I highly recommend you check that one out because I will be explaining the basics of this game in that video. For those of you who already have seen it, let's move on. Today we will be looking at the AI, or rather the changes I made to the AI, and also the hazards that I will be adding to the game. So first of the AI. Some of you might remember that the enemies would hog the walls in the previous video. This hogging mainly looked weird, and also I think it adds to a big problem of this game, and that is that the player can just run away infinitely and have the enemies come towards him. That is why I made a big change to the AI. A lot of you have been suggesting that I use the pathfinding algorithm A*, but I am going to refrain from using a pathfinding algorithm for now, and that is because I want to prevent the player from being able to just stand in the corner and have the enemies eventually come to him. So if I real quick up the number of enemies that will spawn from these dummy portals and hit start on the game, you can see that right now well, first a lot of enemies will spawn, but you might notice that the enemies are following me right now, but whenever I go behind a wall, you can see they just go wander around and scatter all over the place. And look what happens when I just decide to come in here and kill a bunch. I have to be careful that I don't drain my health. Usually I could just stand here and wait for the enemies to come to me and just kill them all, but as you can see I'm missing quite a bunch of these enemies now. And if I decide to walk around to grab those coins because maybe I wasn't strong enough to beat all those enemies, you can see that they are starting to spread around, and if I eventually get here they have scattered all over the place. So I can no longer just camp in a corner. And right here's what I was talking about. I was just camping around the corner, and now you can see the enemies have occupied the space where the coins are. So I have to still deal with them before I can continue. I think this will add a lot of depth to the game, especially when I add projectile-based enemies. I'm going to add a bunch of projectile-based enemies that will have like projectiles that bounce off walls, or maybe like shoot some sort of grenade towards you and you have to run away for the splash damage. Now, moving on, I also added a hazard. Right now you can see the creation of the sprite for the hazard. It's like a simple sort of vent that will let through some hot air or fire or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, in the game, let me just turn on the spawn hazards real quick. What happens right now is that randomly a bunch of hazards get placed. Of course, the first example, when I load up the scene, none get spawned. So right here you can see a bunch of these fire pits have spawned. And yeah, as you can see, they are running on a timed sequence, so they will turn on and off. I added a bit of particles to make it look like hot air is emitting from it. And yeah, if I try to lure these guys into the fire pit, you can see that the enemies that are standing on it get some damage. And yeah, if you walk on it yourself too much, you get damage as well, so you have to watch out. But yeah, hazards like these, I plan to add a lot more of them in the game, because I think they can be a lot of fun. Maybe like a healing turret as well that will heal you, but also the enemies. So you have to keep the enemies away from it, so you don't keep healing the enemies. So yeah, if you have any interesting ideas for hazard types, please let me know in the comments down below, because I'm very interested and I think we can have a lot of fun with these things. Besides the different types of hazards, I will also be looking at the way they spawn. Right now they're just scattered randomly around the level. And I think I will do a combination of like fixed places where the hazard can be on or off. So maybe I think it might be fun for especially the fire pits to have them around the corner of the level, and maybe around the walls. So I will be introducing a way to have fixed spots where they can either be or cannot be. And then I will also do a couple of random like sprinklings of some hazards. So maybe a couple of pits or other hazard types just randomly placed throughout the maps. Anyway, that's it for this video. Next week I will be looking at adding different enemy types and maybe streamlining the level generation a little bit. As always, if you enjoyed this video, then please leave a like, and if you want to stay updated on this game, then please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Oh, and if you're interested in any of the games that I released previously, I will put links to them in the description below, so feel free to check those out. For now, I want to thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next devlog.